welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Beyond the Black Rims, Season 8, Episode 22.
Or episode 188 if you're counting.
Thank you, as always, to the Patreon contributors at patreon.com/MarsGirl who make this and everything else I do possible. Managed to get out this past week publicly the review for 5 centimeters per second. If you haven't seen that, definitely please do so. I think it's gotten a lot of positive response, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of you guys have to say about that movie. What is going on back in San Antonio with you right now, Josh?
You forgot to mention I have a super brief cameo in that.
Yeah, you do. It's like so brief, it's like maybe a second. Maybe 2. I don't know. 2
You can
max.
see the side of my head. You can tell it's me, but it's just the side of my head.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh is in that 5 centimeters per second review. In case you guys have not seen it yet, go see Josh in something else. It's Josh from 2 years ago, but he's in there.
Yes.
Yes. So
When I was yay high.
Exactly the same height. Yes,
Exactly
thank you.
the same height.
So what is going on back in San Antonio right now, Josh?
It's a heat wave.
Is it?
It is.
It got up
It's
into
terrible.
it got up into the mid 80s over here.
Ooh, la-di friggin' da. We're over here with a 105 heat index every day.
That's pretty intense. I kind of don't miss that, even though I tolerate heat really, really well. And I'm concerned about how well I'm going to tolerate not quite so hot when the temperatures start going down over here, because I'm sure everybody's gonna love it. Everybody's gonna be like, oh, it's finally not hot, this feels awesome, and I'm gonna be freezing the second it hits the 70s, honestly.
That's because we're pretty sure you have circulation issues. That's why
That is
you react
entirely
like that.
possible, yeah.
I will probably be fine once it gets cooler. The second we're done off the air here, I'm just going to sit in front of the AC.
Yeah, that sounds good. Wait, didn't you tell me that AC was busted?
Either way, I need some kind of relief.
I don't know how you're gonna do that then. I really don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I have to drink something every show.
Okay, good job. Always with the Arizona.
Yep. The price is on the can, though.
The price is on the can, though. So today, I went and saw Hollywood Boulevard. That was a thing that I did. So Walk of Fame, Chinese Theater, you could kind of see Madame Tussauds Wax Museum across the street, and Jimmy Kimmel Live, and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah,
then,
he is across the street from that. I forgot.
yeah, and then it was over. Cause see, it's really not all that big. It's not as
What,
big.
it ended? It's over?
Like, you just walk, and then...
There's no more sidewalk there?
Well, a sidewalk continues, but stars don't. I mean, the stars only continue for so far. I mean, it's not as... I'm sure some people are excited about the bootleg, like, Spider-Man and Deadpool cosplayers standing around waiting for you to take your pictures.
Did those guys harass you to take your picture with them?
No, the people who did the harassing were dudes who were out on the street trying to sell their album, and people carrying pythons, as in legit snakes, and like shoving them in your face going, hey, you want to touch this snake? Pay $5. Like,
there's laws against that.
I'm not sure there are. I am not certain that there are, because they were out there doing it. And there were dudes out there singing about ice cold water for just $1, but it's not the guy.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. But it wasn't the guy from I don't know,
Otakon?
From Otakon who got notable for doing that. There's 2 other guys. They actually had way better harmony. They were really good. I wish I.
Wait, they had harmony.
Yeah, they had 2 dudes and they were harmonizing with each other about ice cold
water
for just $1. Yeah. So they were good. I wish I had filmed them.
You probably should have. The other guy could have sued.
Oh, that's true.
Like, that's his thing.
That is his thing. Where's the guy singing about ice cold water's star on the Walk of Fame?
Well, that too, like, you know he's made it. He's got cover artists there on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, so, like, it's super tourist trappy. That's all I can say about, because I was in Burbank, and, you know, they produce a whole bunch of stuff, TV, movies and stuff in Burbank, Cartoon Network's out there, stuff like that. And then I was like, well, I'm right next to Hollywood. I can go down here for a second, and I don't know, like, all the charm and the magic, it was just like there and then it was gone, you know? Now I can say
Yeah.
I've done it and it's over. That's it. I don't need to go back for a while.
There is no joy in your life.
Well, I was glad I went. I'm not upset that I was there.
It's okay. We're gonna help you.
How?
We're gonna get through this.
How? Are you gonna come out and stay finally? Are you?
Well,
you
I'm coming
s-
out in a week.
Yes, to Japan
week from
World
today.
Heroes a week
Yes.
from today.
Well,
But
no,
are-
not a week from today. A week from this Saturday.
But are you gonna
It's-
stay?
For a week, yes.
See, we gotta work this out. We gotta work this out.
Kaylin, we have stuff.
I know. So bring your stuff.
I can't
And-
bring the stuff. There's only so much room on the plane. Other people need to sit.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I don't know what
It's
makes
Southwest. The people on those flights need as much room as possible.
That's very true. Southwest
Okay.
is very uncomfortable. Very.
But at least I don't have to pay for my first 2 checked bags, so that's important.
Yeah, that is important. So I guess in that regard, you made the right decision.
Dang straight, I made the right decision.
Although I have to wince at it just a little bit anyway.
Well, you do what you want.
Yes.
I'm going out there.
Okay, I'm staying out here. Yeah, bring my cowbell. Where's my cowbell?
Your cowbell is so far buried in storage right now, I couldn't get to it even if I wanted to.
Well, shoot. So no cowbell for a while, guys. Sorry.
If I have to, I will stop off somewhere and pick up another cowbell.
We don't need 2 cowbells.
We need as many cowbells as we have toasters.
We only have 1 toaster.
We have 3 toasters.
When did you get 2 more toasters?
Right after I got 5 more toasters.
No, we're not doing this. No.
17 toasters. Kaylin.
I think we need to talk about what we're talking about on the show tonight.
Do we? Do we really?
Well, yeah, that's what the show's for.
Alright, I guess.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, talking about stuff that we're going to be talking about on the show. So apparently, Netflix is making huge strides towards picking up more anime. We're going to be talking about just how much anime is starting to be picked up and distributed by Netflix, how that might change Netflix game, and how that might change the anime distribution game as far as digital streaming distribution is concerned.
Yes, and then our second story for the evening is going to revolve around Apple pouring a lot of money into producing original content. Now, this, of course, comes on the heels of YouTube trying to put out their own original content, but certain decisions not working out very well. So we're going to talk about how this actually works out in Apple's favor and what this looks like for the future of really entertainment in general.
And then finally, at the end of the night, we're going to be discussing the company MoviePass, which has been around for a couple of years now, but they just recently made a huge announcement that they are lowering their prices down to $9.99, meaning you can see almost as many movies as you want within a month, but that could come with some repercussions. We're going to talk about what the pluses and minuses are to such a service as MoviePass and how it's been implemented within this past week.
Yes.
So, but you've got follow-ups for us in the meantime before we get to those stories, correct?
Do I have follow-ups? What kind of question is that? I always have follow-ups. That's what I'm here for.
You could
So
just
let's go
say
ahead.
yes. You really could just say yes.
I'm trying to add some flair. Let me flare.
Okay, go, give me some flair then. What's going on?
Okay. Full-blown Justice League. Get it up there.
All right, there you go.
All right, so those of you watching tonight might notice we have a new graphic for Full-Blown Justice League. This, of course, is courtesy of Warner Brothers Pictures putting out this latest picture for the cast of Justice League, showing everybody there. They remembered Superman was in this movie at some point, so they've added that all together. Along with this picture, there's been a couple of reports coming out about the status of the movie. Actor Ben Affleck, who of course is playing Batman in the movie, has gone on record saying that he actually likes the direction that Joss has been taking it. Now, notably, Joss Whedon took over the directing duties since Zack Snyder had to step back from that due to an unfortunate family tragedy. So they've been mainly working off what was already set to be worked on for the rest of these reshoots. The interesting thing about this comes from news that's been repeated over and over for the last week, that initial cuts of the movie were deemed unwatchable by Warner Brothers executives.
Yikes, that's really bad.
And so this is part of the reason why we had so many reshoots, why it's so massively of a scale that we haven't seen on really many other movies of this price range. The pricing for that has been so much because they had to work this thing basically from the ground up.
Well, how does it get that bad to begin with? I don't understand. That's so bad that they film the whole thing, then edit almost the whole thing, then show it to the executives, and they just rear back and go, "Oh no! How does that happen?"
Mind you, these are the people that let the original Batman vs. Superman out.
Exactly, that's my point. Like, how does it get that bad that they finally realize we can't even look at it anymore? We could look at it before when it was bad, but it wasn't this bad. Like, this tells me that the movie was even worse? Worse than Batman v Superman? So
that's pretty much what we're having to take from this.
So, but that creates a whole new fear if they're having to do that many reshoots. Is the product we're going to get really gonna be that much better?
I don't know. This also comes with some other news stating that a lot of the reshoots had to actually focus on the character of Cyborg, stating that the original take on the character in the movie was deemed too dark, and now they had to re-edit pretty much all of his scenes to lighten the mood.
How do you lighten the mood of Cyborg? His origin is kind of messed up, quite frankly.
Yeah, if we're going off the New 52 origin, which I imagine is what they're pulling from here, then yeah, he's kind of gnarly messed up trying to get away from all these parademons and then becomes bonded with all of that otherworldly technology. Like, you can't really lighten that up this much. This isn't friggin' Teen Titans.
So kind of furthermore, that just sort of makes me further wonder, why didn't Cyborg get his own movie first? That doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like that's a story that if you're gonna go that dark, you may as well tell it in his own origin movie, and I think that could have been just fine, and it wouldn't detract from the tone of this totally different, otherwise all-encompassing film featuring a whole bunch of other heroes.
Right, but that's essentially what we're looking at. Hopefully all of these reshoots are for a good reason, but we'll find out in November.
I'm not so confident.
So let's move on to some other Justice League members, specifically Aquaman. So we have this picture here to show you guys from the set of Aquaman of what is supposedly Atlantean armor.
I was wondering what this was, because you didn't tell me what this was, and I was like, what, did Iron Man walk onto... I don't know what you're showing me. What is this?
So this is apparently some of the armor that Atlanteans are going to be wearing there in the movie. As you can see here, there's actual practical effects going on. They've got them doing wire work with these shots. They're not using as much CG as you would think they would, given a movie has so much underwater scenes. But it's nice to see that they're adhering to that, saying, yeah, we're going to use practical effects, and we see them doing exactly that.
Well, good, because the movie looks only so practical, because it looks super CG. Super CG in a lot of places.
See, the thing about it is, technically we haven't seen anything from Aquaman specifically. The only thing we've seen is Aquaman in Justice League.
That is true, that's true.
So I'm not going to lump him in with what we've already seen.
Okay, that makes sense. You're right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to some Marvel news. Of course, right now we are on another Netflix Marvel Eve, as The Defenders will drop this weekend. All 8 episodes available on Netflix just a few hours from now. But we also have a development for Jessica Jones Season 2, a kind of surprising development, which we'll show you here within this photo, featuring star Kristen Ritter and actor David Tennant. Now, for those of you who have seen Season 1 of Jessica Jones, you'll understand why it's very odd that he's back on the set, given certain things that happened in the show, which I won't necessarily spoil. Just know that his inclusion is interesting, to say the least, given the climax of the last season, but he is a cast member for Season 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how his character Kilgrave is still affecting Jessica to this day.
It's pretty intense. Maybe he's not physically there. Who knows?
It's entirely possible. So let's move on to some other related-ish comic book news. So we talked to you guys a little bit about Mega City 1, which is this proposed television series based off the Judge Dredd universe. Well, we've gotten some very positive news. Hopefully it gets more positive, that they have approached actor Carl Urban, who played the role of Dredd there in the Dredd movie, to look into the role to see if he'll reprise it. And he said, if they tell a good enough story, I'm in.
I think that would be great. I thought that version of Dredd, initially, when they were talking about releasing it, I wasn't so sure about it, and then we went to go see it, and then I was totally sold. Like, that's Dredd, to me, was Carl Urban's Dredd.
And that's the thing, if he gets signed on to the series, a lot of other people will follow suit, so we'll keep an eye on that. Please, Carl, come back and do it. You did such a good job.
He tries. He acts the hell out of anything he's in, even if it's stuff that maybe shouldn't exist in the first place. Priest. Oh, Priest.
Yeah,
Priest is the word. Like, I don't know why he chose to go ahead and go through with Priest, but he acted the hell out of the very in-depth character Black Hat.
Black Hat.
Because that's a name, Josh. Black Hat.
You know it's not, but that's why you brought it up.
That's why I brought it up. So
okay,
anyway.
Yeah, get it out of here. Okay,
it's
so
gone.
let's go ahead and move on to some other interesting movie news. So apparently James Cameron is going to be working on, after all of this Avatar prep that he's been doing for all of these sequels, yet another Terminator movie where they will go ahead and explain, for the first time since a deleted scene in Terminator Rise of the Machines, why the Terminators look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I guess that's an explanation we need, because I guess it didn't make sense before, but at the same time, my concern is, you try to explain it, you're gonna be trying too hard, you know, at this point?
Well, see, the reason I phrased it the way I did is that back in Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, there was a cut scene of a very tongue-in-cheek explanation as to why the Terminators all look like that, which is that they modeled the design of the skin graft of the T-1000s after a soldier there played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who happens to have a different voice, that being its own joke there. But that scene was ultimately cut from the theatrical version that we got. So the thing about that is, it was actually a pretty good explanation.
Mm-hmm.
While being funny, it's pretty much all we needed. It didn't need to be that in depth. But apparently, we're gonna get a whole movie making it that in depth.
No, that's okay. I'm all right. I don't need it. Thanks, though. Thanks for offering. You know what? You can keep it. It's all right.
We don't need it.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, so moving on to some other things, some Stranger Things specifically. So, of course, Stranger Things Season 2 is going to be coming out later on this year. They're from Netflix. Apparently, actor David Harbour, who plays Police Chief Hopper there in the series, has kind of let it slip that they're already pretty much confirmed for a Season 3.
Oh, that's not too much of a surprise, but it's a pleasant surprise for what little surprise it is. I'm glad. I'm glad for it.
Yes, very much looking forward to what the story has to tell us about the things from the other side, where all these characters are going as they're progressively getting closer to the 90s, if that has any weight on the story.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking forward to what they have in this season and what kind of story they're going to tell that would necessitate a third season.
Well, I think it's great that they're going to continue it, and that it means that the story is not so shallow that it could end in only 2 seasons. That's great. I think that's awesome.
I agree. All right, so moving on to some live-action anime adaptation news. So Lionsgate is apparently trying to still get a live-action Naruto movie off the ground. They've added on 2 screenwriters, John Hober and Eric Hober, who have written for comic book adaptations Red and Red 2 before. They have been assigned to go ahead and write this draft for a Naruto live-action movie.
I keep forgetting that they even greenlit the idea for a Naruto live-action movie, and then you remind me, and then I realize, oh, that's a thing. I can't believe it's even still alive in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it'll go the way of Cowboy Bebop, though. I don't know. Who knows?
And get stuck in development hell?
Yeah, I would almost prefer that. You know, I feel like some other movie needs to be the movie where everybody decides, yes, this did anime movie adaptations justice. I don't think it should be Naruto. Not
Need I remind you, this is Lionsgate trying to do it, and we all saw how well they did Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. Now, granted, that Power Rangers crowd has not faltered from its love of that film at all, despite the fact that the entire rest of the world has.
No, they're having a screening here in town for the Power Rangers convention, More Phenomenal Expo.
Yeah, I saw that.
In just 2 weeks, as kind of a pre-kickoff event, and people are already buying tickets, very expensive tickets for what I believe is a movie that didn't deserve that much money.
Yeah, and again, these are the Power Rangers super fans that have stuck by that movie like nobody's business, so they're pretty much the only ones keeping any semblance of the movie alive. Nobody else wants more of that Power Rangers franchise, unfortunately.
Nope.
Sorry, Lionsgate. I'm not convinced that you're gonna do Naruto any justice either.
Yes. I mean, no. So moving on to some Godzilla news. So we have this very interesting picture to show you guys from the set of Godzilla King of Monsters. For those of you who are in the know with Godzilla, remembering the original movie Gojira, you'll recognize this device here that we're showing you on screen, which apparently is going to be a very heavy plot point in the upcoming movie. This, of course, is the Oxygen Destroyer, which was used in the climax of the original Gojira movie to defeat Godzilla. So it's nice to see a very blatant throwback to the original movie in this.
So this is, you said this is a major plot point for this film, this upcoming film?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting. Surely they wouldn't use it in the exact same manner, because then everybody would know what was coming. So...
Right, so I imagine there's got to be only so much change up to it, because there's, granted, a couple of applications of the Oxygen Destroyer, but really the whole point was to basically kill Godzilla. Here, maybe they'll use it on King Ghidorah or something of that nature, or maybe they try to use it on Godzilla and something goes wrong. There's a couple of variables with that, but still, it's a very blatant throwback to the original. Along with that, we actually got a new trailer for Godzilla Kaiju Planet, showing more of this new design for Godzilla, which seems to be based off the legendary design, except a little bit more spiky, which I'm kind of okay with.
Looks alright. I wish I had a picture of that to show you guys, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yes, because a lot of the angles that we're seeing Godzilla at now are kind of similar to Legendary. You can't get a full picture of him, but they have a fairly good shot of his face and jaw, where you can see he's a bit more spiked than what we remember in the Legendary Pictures version. Either way, we'll be able to see that later on this year on Netflix.
That sounds awesome. That will kind of lead into one of our stories a little bit later on this evening.
Yes, and then other, because we kind of mentioned it, Power Rangers news. So Bondi of America has announced several new legacy items that are going to be coming out for fans who are looking to get these nice high-end collectibles. They just, of course, released the Red Ranger Power Sword. We're also looking to see a release of a legacy Green Ranger helmet. And this device here, which of course is the Zeonizer, which is the transformation device for Power Rangers Zeo. This is going to be retailing for $99, so notably more expensive than the Legacy Morphers.
That's pretty ridiculous. Now, does it have more working, moving parts or electronics than the Legacy Morphers do? Is that why this is?
See, that I don't understand, because if you compare them side by side, the packaging should be about the same size. I remember what Zeonizers looked like when they were on the shelves back in '96, and really this can't be much bigger than that box before, only about yay big, because they're just wrist devices. That having been said, there's only so much electronics you could put in there, since the Zeonizers didn't make all of these different noises and catchphrases like a lot of transformation devices do nowadays. So I'm interested to see just exactly what extras they're going to be throwing in there to justify a $99 price tag.
Yeah, that's exactly what my questioning of it is. So when is this supposed to be coming out? Do we know?
Next year.
Next year. Okay, so we'll have to wait until next year to find that information out.
I'll say this much. I'm going to wait a little bit for it to drop down to about what the Power Morphers were going for, about $60, give or take. Once it hits about that level, then yeah, maybe I'll get it. Even then, the Legacy Communicators retail for about $70, $75, which is still a bit steep. but I would sooner justify that price tag than $100.
So Josh's face has frozen on a very hilarious thumbnail, but we're gonna keep going anyway.
What's wrong with my face?
Oh, your face fixed itself. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Good.
Let's keep going.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Let's go ahead and get started with our first story.
Okay. So, anime and Netflix. That's an anime that is on Netflix. Yeah, it's got the Netflix logo back. It doesn't matter. So there's a lot of anime on Netflix these days. In fact, we were just talking about Godzilla coming to Netflix. When is that supposed to be again? That Godzilla's supposed to land on Netflix?
In just a few months before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like November, right?
Yes.
Yeah, November. So, it's really interesting how Netflix is becoming kind of more and more viable as distribution, not just of anime, really, I feel, but we've kind of noted before in the past how clearly they want to do more stuff in-house. We just had Castlevania this past month, for example, and while it's technically not anime, as in it wasn't created in Japan, it's very clearly inspired by anime, and Netflix wants to produce and create all kinds of more in-house sort of projects. So, is there an indication here that perhaps Netflix can be doing more bartering with Japanese companies, Japanese anime companies, the publishers, distributors, to get more streaming over here? Is this going to be competition with Crunchyroll or with Funimation or with any of our other North American distributors?
Well, see, the interesting thing about the way Netflix is taking their approach to anime is the fact that it is streaming in a sense, but it's not simulcasting like, say, Crunchyroll or even Funimation does. As we're understanding now, Netflix has just been made available for a lot of other different devices there in Japan, and people in Japan are very much buying into the Netflix branding, the ability to go ahead and binge watch all of these different things. You remember last time we were over there, we were able to see several different shops where you could just rent whole series of things, DVDs, movies, anime, of Japanese movies and dramas and all of these different things over there. So the Japanese people, still very much like us, want to binge watch as much as possible. And if you can do that without having to leave, there's already a subset of people over there who don't want to leave the house as it is. So that already buys in right there. That's a built-in audience.
I think it's interesting that Netflix took so long to take off in Japan, too. It took a lot longer, because I think that Japan is far more of a, like you just said, they've got so many rentals for physical copies of things, and they're so stuck on old media, you know, where DVDs and CDs still cost so much more, and
it's insane how much things cost over there. Like a DVD comes out and it's about relatively $85 US.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I think there's a sense of pride that the Japanese take in having spent that much money on a given product to show just how dedicated they are to a given piece of material.
Yes, but the thing about this, the shift in the dynamic of how people are intaking their media has a lot to do with Netflix. Of course, all over the world, different regions have the ability to stream stuff through Netflix. Japanese media is available on there. Shows we wish we could get over here, they can get over there and they can just binge watch all the time. Any sort of different movie, tokusatsu, anime, they have access to it. So the idea that Netflix wants to get further into the anime distribution game is in and of itself a game changer, because we've seen over the last month that they've licensed several different anime to be streamed exclusively through them. But on top of that, if they start producing anime for themselves, as we talked about here just a moment ago, Godzilla will have global distribution through Netflix. And that's saying something, because they're going to be hitting theaters over there in Japan first, and then everybody will have the chance to watch this product straight from Japan.
I think that's really interesting too, because Japan has focused also a lot, quite a bit, on Amazon Prime distribution. I think they've done that significantly more than Netflix in certain areas. We might even want to get back and touch upon that when we get to another story a little bit later, but I think it's interesting if Netflix wants to get into anime distribution when in Japan, they've got other things that are already competing with it. Now, we also want to specifically talk about how North American localization works, not just how Japanese Netflix distribution works, because it seems to be that Netflix has not entirely focused a whole lot on anime, and maybe some of us over here would be wondering, well, there's not really a need, right? Because we've already got Funimation, we've already got Crunchyroll, so why would it be so interesting or important for Netflix to try to jump into the anime game? Can they get stuff that Funimation and Crunchyroll don't have? Do they need to develop a partnership with either one of those teams, or with Viz, or with anybody else?
I don't think that's even necessarily an issue with them, because the whole idea when you're looking at streaming or anime rights or even creating your own anime is pretty much the same way you look at video games. It's all about exclusivity. Who are you going to go to get a product that you can't get anywhere else? Now, if Netflix is going to start pouring money into licensing, into funding anime, some people have already commented that a Netflix budget for a live-action show is about 5 times the budget of a Japanese movie. If there's something that we've been noting there in the Japanese anime industry, it's that they're not making as much money as they used to. It's a lot of shovelware now. As you've commented, series over the last couple of years are looking very repetitive. So if Japanese animators, Japanese studios, Japanese directors see this option of Netflix wanting to be invested in telling original stories, new stories, then that's what they'll put that focus will go towards doing a series through Netflix, and then Netflix having that exclusivity to give it out all over the world.
I wonder.
That's going to be big.
I wonder if there would be any further interest in, we've tooled with Voltron quite a bit over here in North America over the last few decades, considering it originally came from Go Lion, which was an anime, a Japanese-produced anime, that really didn't do so hot in Japan in the first place. But then we turned it around, re-edited it, repackaged it as Voltron, and it just took off over here. And it kind of breathed new life into it, even back over in Japan, and, big mecha collectors, giant robot collectors, would go looking for our Voltron toys to kind of make up for their Go Lion toys, So now Netflix comes back around and says, why don't we do Voltron again? And I feel like, I don't know if I would necessarily say that this Voltron is better than the previous Voltron, but it definitely adds...
because I would.
Well, it definitely adds new dimension and new depth and breathes new life entirely into what Voltron was more than 30 years ago, So, I wonder, I would love to see some statistics on, one, I'm not positive whether or not Netflix Voltron has made it back over into Japan, and two, if it has, I would love to know what the Japanese think of it, and if maybe they would look at it and go, this is a thing we can do, this is a new way we could develop a new product and market it in a different way to a different audience that's looking for a different outlet or a different avenue for watching our programs.
Now, admittedly, unfortunately, I should have looked that up, but I don't have that information offhand. What I can say is that, for certain, the Castlevania series that we just got about a month ago has been dubbed back into Japanese, so the Japanese Netflix audience is getting that.
That's pretty cool.
So I imagine if it hasn't already happened for Voltron, it will shortly. And as such, yes, I can absolutely see the merit in them looking at the series that technically, yes, originated from them. We took it, morphed it into something completely different, sold it back to them, and then the Japanese audience can look at it and be like, wow, this is amazing. This is so good and funny and interesting and action-packed. And yeah, that grows the brand, and that makes Netflix look that much more viable, like I said, to other studios who are looking to get in on that.
I think that would be a great tool for Japanese animation studios, and I think America definitely does need to further pursue anime as a viable market. And why wouldn't Netflix look at anime as a more viable market in North America when Sony, as we discussed before, just bought Funimation? So that makes everybody look at Funimation and go, what are they doing? Oh, they're distributing anime. Do people like anime that much? Is it really that big? I mean, Sony...
I don't know. Ask Arby's.
I guess ask Arby's, yeah. I mean, Sony must have thought this is a viable avenue to generate revenue. So all eyes have got to be starting to move toward anime at this point. For Netflix to not want to continue to license as much as they can for North American distribution, that I think would be a mistake on their part. So it's very smart that they continue to add stuff. I just wonder how many people are gonna go running to Netflix immediately to get their anime fix.
It may not be immediate, but I imagine there will be a paradigm shift in where people are going for their media, because it already started with just the Netflix model to begin with. But now if you see you can go to them for very specific series that they're creating to be put out all over the place, then yeah, you're going to go where the only place is you can get it. You know, supply and demand, very basic. So the idea that people can be going to this, and people have made the comment before that the way the Japanese industry is putting out media, like you said, you know, physical copies, and the way it's working isn't really working out for them on a financial level. So if this takes it in a different direction in the scope of, okay, streaming is the way to go, exclusivity is the way to go, then yes, I can imagine it might not be immediate, but there will be a lasting effect because of this.
So I would like to see how then they're going to compete with other places where you can stream anime. That is my final concern over Netflix trying to get into the anime distribution market. I'm not too worried that Netflix is going to lose anything on it. Just more concerned of who's really going to care about Netflix specifically for anime distribution when you have Crunchyroll and Funimation and Viz and all kinds of other outlets.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see in the next couple of years, now that they're looking to aim towards this, how things are going to change as a result.
Yeah, very true. I think that's something that we just need to sit and wait on just a little bit longer, and I would, once again, love to see Japan realize how valuable Netflix can be to the marketing of their products. So, and I think that they will catch on. It's just going to take a little bit more time.
Just a little bit, not too long.
Not too much longer. Otherwise, they're going to miss the boat, which anime has done before. Anime has waited... Nice boat. Anime has waited too long in certain areas before, and let themselves get way, way behind on certain trends. So, I hope they can save themselves. Again.
This might be the way.
This might be the way. We'll see. Alright, how about we move on to another topic, Josh?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. So, talk to me about this. We're looking at a whole bunch of Apple products right now. So, to kind of continue, this is a big night where we discuss a whole bunch of streaming platforms, or even the possibility of streaming platforms. So talk to me about what exactly it is that Apple is attempting to accomplish right now.
Okay, so the idea here is that Apple is looking to diversify the products that they make available, and one of the markets they're looking to get into is streaming media. So what we're seeing here is a reported $1 billion, with a B, billion-dollar investment into creating original video content for the Apple brand.
That's quite a bit of money.
Yes. Now, the thing about it is, when you take that into account of HBO having poured $2 million into them being able to stream other things like, say, things on their HBO Go app, everybody's watching Game of Thrones right now. Streaming is no joke. Like we were just talking about with Netflix, people prefer the ability to watch stuff on the go wherever they are. Now, the thing about it is, right now, streaming is becoming steadily more and more of a known thing, whereas before it was kind of a niche thing. Now we're seeing streaming all over the place. Many people all over the world are now watching esports streaming like it was like you were at a sports bar. The Overwatch World Cup this weekend, or over the last a couple of days, a bunch of people watching that, available on multiple streaming platforms. If you had it on Xbox One, PlayStation Network, people were watching those. So on top of that, you also have YouTube, where people stream to. You have been streaming to YouTube, but YouTube doesn't exactly make the best business decisions. And even though they've poured a lot of money,
boy, is that the truth! Oh my God, I don't even want to get into that.
Which we'll touch on probably a little bit in a second, but you've seen over the last year or so, YouTube has tried to manufacture their own original content, taking the quote-unquote cream of the crop of YouTube and pushing them to make their own shows. But it may not work out as well as they thought it would, what with trying to implement YouTube Red and all of these other things, trying to take away ads and mess with people's revenue. Not everyone is that happy, so people look for alternative platforms like
VidMe,
streaming, VidMe, streaming on Twitch, all of these other different options. So now if Apple wants to get in on the game, I imagine it would be not that far of a leap in logic to think that somebody who's unsatisfied with how YouTube is handling their original content could be swayed over to Apple to produce content for them.
That sort of makes sense, although at the same time, YouTube content creators who have deals directly with YouTube in order to produce original YouTube content, not just stuff for their channel, but stuff for YouTube, they're probably already in a really high viewership and probably already making a whole lot of money. I can't imagine they're going to be so dissatisfied with YouTube that they're going to try and move someplace else. The only people who are truly dissatisfied are people with way smaller viewership than them, who are getting really screwed over on advertising revenue, who are getting all their videos flagged for this, that, and the other thing, and having really their entire livelihoods torn away from them and don't have the ability to talk directly with YouTube. Those higher up people who produce stuff specifically for YouTube Red, I don't think they have that problem because they can actually talk to somebody directly at YouTube. I don't see a reason for them to make a jump over to Apple just yet. However, $1 billion in trying to make sure that this actually happens is nothing to scoff at. After all, that's the reason why we still have Xbox as a platform today, because Bill Gates himself was like, oh, my first Xbox only did so well, I'm gonna pour my own money into this to make sure Xbox doesn't fail. You see, somebody who was really friggin' rich and had the money to throw around and was convinced that they were gonna make their platform work, made their platform work because they threw money at it. So I'm very interested to see where this goes, because I totally believe Apple has enough money to just throw at a thing until it works.
Well, see, that you're pretty much making my case for me on this. Yes, we know we've got those people who are basically hooked into YouTube Red. For anybody who's already got a contract, already is that high up in viewership and subscriber numbers, yeah, they're not the ones to worry about. But when you're looking at the way policy is coming down from YouTube, the way bots are just making people's livelihoods not very reliable in the decisions that they're making, really this opens up a very big business opportunity for Apple to come in and see, okay, where's the diamond in the rough? Where's the talent that we can cultivate for the cheap? Somebody who's not locked into a contract with YouTube, but we can develop them, pour the money into them because we know we can develop something out of this and make that happen. They are ripe to take away a ton of viewership from YouTube using this model because they've got the money to back it up. And because when you think about it, Apple has been very notable for having a lot of customer service. Mind you, it's not always as reliable as you'd like it to be, but it exists. That's why people go to the Apple Store all the time, so they can talk to a person. The idea that they could start that off, whatever they're trying to build with their original content, as having somebody built in, ready to talk to help people develop this stuff, is something that I imagine would be one of the first things they get taken care of, so that they can guarantee that their producers, whatever they're producing for them as far as videos go, is exactly where it needs to be, and that they're satisfied so that they can satisfy Apple with how much revenue they can bring in.
So you are saying, because it sounds like from this news story, they're not making it sound like they're making a new video platform that everybody can kind of pile into like a lifeboat off of YouTube. It sounds more like you said, original Apple content. So you really think that you were saying it just a second ago, they're gonna find us and handpick a few people that they think look really talented, but it doesn't look like they've already been tied down to a YouTube only property, and you think they can make a whole lot of bank? Or do you think Apple might go in the direction of then further opening up that platform as being the next YouTube that people could go to hopefully get more satisfaction talking to a person? Do you think they would go in that direction? Because it doesn't sound like that is yet the direction they're gonna go.
It's a little of both. I believe it's entirely possible because when you look at what they're already trying to put out there, the biggest thing they've got right now is the launch of this spin-off from the Late Late Show with James Corden, that Carpool Karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've already seen something like that from NBC. You know, they had the segment from the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, you know, the karaoke sing-off, I can't remember the proper name of it, that got turned into its own show on Spike. Now they've taken this segment, this very popular segment from James Corden, and turned that into a show, just that, and put it on Apple. It's only on Apple. You can't see it anywhere else.
Okay.
You know, they put clips on YouTube, but you have to go there to get that content. So kind of like what we were talking about with Netflix. If they're able to do that, if they want to produce original content, because admittedly, that's not technically original. That's just very quick thinking of, okay, this is the segment everybody watches on YouTube. Let's go ahead and take that, extend it out to 22, 25 minutes, and then we make it episodic. You know, different people singing, celebrities singing in a car. That's pretty easy to do. People can make that video, have made that video for years over on YouTube. So the idea that they could potentially take that idea of take something that's very easy and use it to basically make more money out of it, the simple thing to do is see what other streaming providers are doing, like, say, YouTube, since they're the other big name in the game, and take that option, which takes very little overhead, and they can use that to turn a profit.
But see, here's yet another thing that I have to assume Apple's not going to do this for free. You're going to have to pay to access this service, just like we've just made this complaint over the last couple of episodes. Here's yet another streaming thing you're going to have to pay for Apple's thing, for YouTube Red, for Netflix, for Amazon Prime, for Hulu. But how many streaming things do we have to pay for to get a variety of content? Man, if only, and this is going to be tied into our next story, if only there was a movie pass for all the streaming sites out there for one low price, and then I can access everybody's stuff. Everybody's stuff.
Is that the segue?
It's not, but I needed to say that because, I mean, there was no other place where I could have put that in this conversation, quite frankly.
Because we can make, looking at the clock, we can make that the segue.
You know what? Sure, fine. You want to make that the segue? Because,
let's make it the segue.
Well, before we do, when is Apple supposedly going to be launching this? Or is this still under development and we don't know when this is going to be a thing?
So they've already decided that they've already sunk this money into it. As far as when they're going to do something with it, that hasn't been announced yet. But we imagine that there's going to be an announcement very shortly.
All right. Well, that's Apple for you. They're big on their announcements and big stage presence and everything to talk about just how innovative they think they are. So we'll find out. We'll find out just how innovative it actually is, hopefully within the near future.
And, you know, once they make the announcement, they'll make sure everybody knows it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's always how it goes. All right, so let's go ahead and, speaking of that idea of having a movie pass for all the streaming services, how about just plain old having a movie pass? The logo is a little bit blocked by our faces, but oh well, you get the point. It says movie pass. That's what that says. So, what is MoviePass? Well, MoviePass has been around for at least a couple of years now already, but it was at much higher prices.
$50 a month.
It was much more expensive than it is now. And so MoviePass would allow you, if you were subscribed to it, to attend a single movie viewing a day, which is a pretty friggin' good deal if you're gonna go see movies like all the time. All the time. Of course, you had to be within like 100 feet of a movie theater in order to order the ticket and stuff like. There were like little catches here and there, and if you tried to cancel within a 12-month period of time, then they would charge you like $75 if you canceled before your first year was up. Like, there were catches here and there, but it was like, okay, this is a pretty interesting choice. Well, this week they dropped that price down to $9.99 a month, so that you can do basically the same stuff. They got rid of that cancellation fee, and people went flooding to MoviePass to go and sign up because so many theaters are accepting it. Not every single theater out there is accepting it, but a whole lot of theaters. Whole lot of theaters. So as you can imagine, $9.99 to get a MoviePass to allow you to watch a single movie every single day. That's super ideal. And they flooded the servers, and even right now, the servers are still, like, swamped. I've been sitting here trying to refresh MoviePass.com for a while, and it just keeps giving me DNS errors because people are so... like, sometimes I can get to it, and some other times I can't. People are really struggling in order to use the zip code finder to find movie theaters that are in their area that accept MoviePass, and people are just so pissed because they're like, well, I would sign up for it if only I knew which theaters nearby were actually supporting MoviePass. So they're thinking that MoviePass is hiding the zip code finder, but they're not. It's just that MoviePass has been so swamped. So totally swamped, and it's affecting their app, and people are pissed about that too, but I figure give it a little bit of time, and it'll get slightly less swamped. You'll be able to access everything, and why not give it a shot? But it turns out some movie theaters aren't so thrilled about it. Josh,
namely AMC.
Yeah, can you tell me anything more about what AMC has been saying in this whole process now that MoviePass has dropped to, excuse me, $9.95, not $9.99, $9.95. Ooh.
So, essentially, AMC, which we should put in context here, they had signed a deal with MoviePass, which at the time they offered subscriptions that were $35. So having this lower price for people to sign on for and getting rid of that cancellation fee doesn't work a lot in AMC's favor. So what they're looking for is legal options to basically stop MoviePass from being able to do what they do, to allow people to go to see as many movies as they want for that price. Now, the thing about it is when you actually look into what AMC's doing, there's nothing there. There's actually nothing they can do. Currently, they're seeking legal options, and they're checking with their lawyers and attorneys to see whether or not they have any legal standing to stop them, but currently there is nothing. And from everything we're seeing here, they don't have any sort of legal leg to stand on in trying to make MoviePass stop this.
Well, what's interesting is that what MoviePass technically does in order to make this work is, so the customer uses their app on their phone, they buy a ticket on their phone, and then MoviePass turns around and pays the movie theater the full price for that ticket, even if you've already bought at least one ticket, because, you know, most theaters, I would say, around the country are around the $10 a ticket ballpark, somewhere in that vicinity.
In some places, it's higher than that. In larger cities like where you are in LA or New York, it could
right.
be something like $15, $20 if you're going for like IMAX or 3D.
Well, you can't get IMAX or 3D tickets through MoviePass, so that is one restriction. You would have to actually physically purchase those tickets without MoviePass.
But to put it in perspective, though, those kind of prices and seeing that you only have to pay $9.95, that looks way more appealing.
Oh, sure. Like a single viewing would pay for itself, let alone two in 1 month. So MoviePass is directly paying out of pocket these movie theaters for you to go see these movies, and they're admitting that they're technically losing money on the deal, but they just got bought out by some investors, so they right now have the ability to do this. If that's all it is, and if this for some reason doesn't work out in the long run, hey, for the time being right now, you may as well ride this out as long as you can and get some good free movies out of it, right? So what their hope is, at the same time, would be that places like AMC would kind of take the bait and say, yeah, this is great, because if they're showing up to the movies, then we can also start to raise the prices on movie food, which are already friggin' expensive to begin with, and like people are gonna pay that money because they think, well, I'm not paying for a ticket, I may as well pay for movie food. That'll make me happy, because that's where movie theaters really make their money back, is in movie food, especially dollar theaters. Dollar movie theaters for super old movies don't make money off of
second-run movies.
Yeah, second-run movies. They don't make money off of those tickets because they cost like $1 to $2 to go see those movies. That's not where they're making the money. You know,
no, because they're charging the same amount for concessions as a normal theater would.
Sometimes, in some cases, more. I think that particular dollar theater back in San Antonio had outrageous food prices, ridiculously high food prices. So if they're making that money back in concessions, then I don't see where the problem is. What MoviePass is also hoping for is to have other maybe advertising deals with various movie theaters, but where AMC and other such theaters are seeing a problem is that they've got their own loyalty rewards perks within their own theaters. AMC's got their own perks. I know the Alamo Drafthouse has their own perks.
Victory, Regal Cinemas has their own.
Yeah, so
all these different major chains across the country do have that, and yeah, this would basically cut in on their bottom line.
Yeah, that would be where they would start to have a problem. But if they could cut out a partnership with MoviePass, I can't help but feel like there is a way for them to make up for it. But movie theaters are part of old media, you know, and old media is really diehard and does not understand the advent of new media and new access to how we intake entertainment. They're gonna stick hard to their old principles, and if MoviePass dies, it's because it's not because it wasn't popular. As you can see, it's been insanely popular because it's been killing the website. People have wanted this really, really bad. It's gonna be because old media has decided, no, we're not gonna change. We're not gonna compromise for anybody.
Well, the interesting thing looking into that is that kind of like what you're touching on there, the idea of a new media approach to old media might not work out in the long run. This could potentially sink MoviePass, but I think it's a good enough experiment to where some other company could look at it and see, okay, what worked here, what didn't work, and then pull from that good, viable information that they can use to put out something similar or something based in the same idea that other people could potentially get in on for the future. Yeah, initially the idea of only paying for one movie to go see as many movies as I can, that's the operative word there, as you can, because realistically, who can actually make it to the movies once a day, every day in a given month? That's just not feasible. I mean, it's possible, but that's not to say it's to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that once you see what the trends are from people buying into MoviePass and seeing how many people actually show up at the theater to take part in that, I think that's what's going to tell the story more than people just buying initially. Because yeah, you'll see that initial uptake in numbers because people see that price. Ooh, $9.95. Let me get in on that right now. But what's really going to tell the tale is how many people actually use it.
Very, very true. And I think MoviePass is also going to be relying on those people who took the quick buy and then forgot that they had it, and then they got charged the next month, and because they forgot about it and didn't think about it, because that's the nature of online digital purchases these days.
It's essentially the same thing as getting a gym membership.
Yeah, very, very true. It's the exact same thing, especially if you signed up for that gym membership online.
And then you forget you have it, and then you don't go, and then you're paying for it.
Exactly. So that's part of where they're hoping to get people also. But hopefully people are actually going to use it for its intended purposes, or if they realize they're not going to be using it that frequently, just remember to cancel, because now there's no longer that silly cancellation fee that they used to have.
I just know once I get the chance, I will totally sign up for this thing because I love movies.
Yeah, I will definitely sign up as well. I wish I could access that zip code. Some people are able to access it. It's been going up and down this whole week, so I'm going to be keeping my eye on it. I'm certain out here in LA it's going to be absolutely useful, but I just want to be certain that I'm going to be able to use it somewhere. I'm just absolutely positively certain.
Well, good luck.
Thank you, Josh. You will have to worry about it in the near future too, you know.
Probably.
Yes. We should probably stop there for now. Thank you for that nod. Thank you for your approval. Okay, thank you. So, I want to go ahead and wrap things up right there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for this past hour. If you're here with us right now, I hope you stick around with us for an additional half hour so that we can talk to all of you through our Q&A session. If you're not here with us live right now, I totally appreciate you coming to watch us whenever it is that you're watching us, but we would also love it if you could make it out here to talk with us live on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central over here at youtube.com/marsgirl/live, so that you can not only hang out with us and the other people over there to my side for an hour, but also get in on the Q&A session that usually you would never get the chance to see.
Yes. And of course, during the week, you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
And that having been said, that's been tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will